I remember the first time AF showed up on my desk. Not on a map, not in a speech. On a narrow strip of gray paper curling out of a machine in the basement under Pearl Harbor. We called it Hypo. Other people called it the dungeon. The light was always the color of old teeth. The fan ticked overhead like a metronome. The air tasted of burned dust from the decoding machines, stale coffee, tobacco, and sweaty fingers on paper. On the chalkboard, someone had written, already half smudged, Japanese Fleet Code, current traffic. Underneath, grouped numbers lined up like tombstones. Fuaretanan sensensisimisen tru, 2007 Kargoriziwan, 00632, 1967. That was my war. An officer's shoes scraped behind me. He leaned down so only I could hear. New intercept from the fleet.
Has collapsed,
he murmured. They're using AF again. Figure out what the hell that is. I glanced back at him. Still think it's the Aleutians? He snorted softly. I don't get paid to think, he said. I get paid to bring you paper. You people think. Then Nimitz bets the fleet on it. He put the strip down. My pencil started moving. F. Just 2 letters. But by then, everyone in our room had felt them closing in around one spot on our wall map. A small, lonely atoll called Midway. I didn't know the faces of the men sailing toward it, or the ones preparing to defend it. Yet, all I knew, as I traced AF in my notebook, was that if we were wrong, an awful lot of people would die in the wrong place. If we were right, they'd die in the right one. The arguments went on above our heads. In our basement, they were simpler. Look at the pattern. One of the analysts snapped, jabbing his pencil at the chart. Fuel ships, carrier groups, scouts, everything's fanning toward Midway. Fanning doesn't convince Washington. Someone else said, they want a smoking gun, not a hunch. Rochefort padded in, wearing his usual bathrobe and slippers, hair sticking up, coffee in hand. You want smoke? He said. We can start a fire. He chalked 3 letters on the board. AF. We say it's Midway. He went on. But they don't. So we make them. How? I asked. Send a questionnaire. Midway sends a message in the clear. Rochefort said. Desalination plant broken. Island short of drinking water. No code. No encryption. Just a nice, juicy problem. He looked around the room. If the Japanese are listening, he said, they'll repeat it, in code, with AF attached. Then even Washington will have to stop arguing with us. The room was quiet for a moment. Then one of the clerks shrugged. Well, he said, if we're going to lie, at least it's about water, not reinforcements. People chuckled. Nobody said no. A few days later, Midway's uncoded complaint crackled out across the Pacific. On the island, they actually cut back on showers and checked the tanks, just in case anyone decided to inspect the lie. In Hypo, I sat with the headphones on, pencil in hand, while the war poured past as dots and dashes. Fuel reports. Weather. Routine position checks. Then a burst that felt different. Certain groups in the right places. We ground through the tables. Reports water shortage. My mouth went dry. I stood up, chair legs screeching, heads turned. I walked the strip to Rochefort and handed it to him. He read it once, twice. His lips moved over the Japanese words.
They know we're here.
He looked up at me.
We have
That's
to move
it,
now.
he said. AF is Midway, no more, maybe. At the far table, someone whispered, "You sure?" Rochefort turned. "Sure enough to move 3 carriers."
Pay close attention,
he said.
What I am about to tell
And that's
you
as
changes
sure as
everything.
anyone gets this
There is
side
no
of God.
turning back from this.
Briefing
where we
room,
must engage
Pearl
them.
Harbor.
We draw them in
A
here,
deck above
and
us,
we cut
in
off
a
their
room
supply
filled
lines
with
at this
maps
position.
and cigarette smoke, Admiral Chester Nimitz studied a sheet of paper. Rochefort, suddenly looking very small in front of the table, cleared his throat. "Sir," he said, "we tricked Midway into sending an uncoded report about a broken water plant. The Japanese repeated it in code and tagged it with their symbol for AF. That's as hard as it gets." A staff officer frowned. Could still be coincidence. Could be deliberate deception. "Admiral," Rochefort said, looking Nimitz in the eye, "if I'm wrong, you can send me to Kodiak with a shovel. But every intercept we have says they're coming for Midway, and that's your best chance to hit their carriers." The room waited. Nimitz didn't speak right away. He walked to the wall map, thumb tracing the Hawaiian chain out to the tiny dot of Midway. Then he traced out toward where our own carriers could be. Enterprise? Hornet? Yorktown? Battered, but not broken. "How many carriers did they have at Pearl?" he asked. "6, sir." "And now?"
We have confirmed visual
4,
on
sir,
target 1.
in this operation. The others may be elsewhere. "And we have 3, Nimitz said. "If we meet them piecemeal, they kill us. If we wait, they spread. Midway is the only place where they all walk into the same room at once." He turned back. "All right," he said. "We take the bet. Move the carriers."
Proceed as planned.
Later, in our basement, the movement orders came down as dry text. To me, they read like a drum roll. Yamamoto's flagship. Far away, on the bridge of the battleship Yamato, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto stood at the forward windows and watched the sea. His staff officer folded a report and cleared his throat. "Kido Butai reports no American carriers in sight," he said. "Midway operation proceeding as planned. The Aleutian diversion has drawn their patrols north." Yamamoto's face did not change. "Good," he said. "So long as they come when and where we expect."
Captain,
"And if they do not, sir?"
absolutely sure about this course
the
of action?
officer asked. Yamamoto's mouth twitched in what might have been a sad smile. "Then we learn whether December was skill," he said quietly, "or luck." He turned away from the windows. "Signal Nagumo," he said. "Remind him, the enemy's carriers are the real target. Midway is a lure, not a prize." Somewhere below, radio men like Sato bent over their tables to send that thought into the air. We didn't know their names yet, only their patterns. Later, those patterns turned into people.
10 minutes, maybe
Enterprise, Ready Room.
Hope the
On
hydraulics hold up
USS
this time.
Enterprise, the Ready
This is our
Room was
primary
cramped
objective.
with
We
pilots
must
and
neutralize
maps.
this position by
"Midway
dawn,
here?"
or the entire
the briefing
operation is
officer said,
compromised.
tapping the chart. "Japanese carriers expected here. Our job is to be between them. First to find,
Captain,
first to
telemetry
hit."
shows a 70%
"Sir?"
chance of icing at that altitude.
Someone called from the back.
Requesting
"What's the plan if they find
Captain.
us first?"
permission to speak.
"Try not to let
Frankly,
them,"
the probability of
the
success
officer
is
said
low.
dryly. "Any other questions?" Lieutenant Tom Harris glanced at the map, then at his friend next to
We
him.
have to abandon ship
"You
now.
know
or
what
we
my
won't
old
make
man
it.
would say," Tom muttered.
You actually believe that
What?
nonsense they feed us?
He'd say,
Yeah, me neither.
"You don't win a knife fight by
And
waiting
you
for
said
the
it was
other man to
regulation.
sharpen his." His friend
Regulation.
huffed a laugh. "Yeah?
This route is impossible,
My old man
Commander.
would say,
They're sending us straight
don't
into
get in
harm's
knife
way.
fights."
Orders are
Tom stretched his long legs under the bench, rolling a pencil between his fingers. It was his nervous habit. He didn't even notice he was doing it. He rubbed the small scar on his left knuckle and told himself, superstition or not, that as long as it ached a little, he'd make it back. Hornet vete eisen. On USS Hornet, Torpedo Squadron 8 crowded into their own ready room, air thick with oil and expectation. The squadron commander pointed at a silhouette of a Japanese carrier. Our job is simple,
Execute
he
the
said.
countermeasure immediately.
We go in low and straight. We drop at close range. We give the dive bombers a clear shot. Our odds improve if we stay together and don't flinch. Sir, Ensign Earl
Captain,
Jackson asked.
What is the backup plan?
What about
to lose
fighter
air
cover?
over the objective area?
The CO
I
hesitated
understand the risks,
only a
Admiral,
heartbeat.
But if we don't push through
We'll
South
have
Metro
some,
now, we lose the element of
said.
surprise.
Maybe not enough. The fighters have to cover a lot of sky. So do we. Question is, who does their job first? In the back
Okay,
row,
this is it.
one of the younger
Stay
pilots
focused.
muttered,
Don't mess this up.
"That mean no in officer language?" Earl elbowed him. "Means we stick so close you can see what I had for breakfast,"
Is it true what they're
he
saying
said.
about the raid?
"If you get
Listen closely.
lost, look for
We're
my
not just
tail
flying
and
patrols
complain
anymore.
to me later."
We're changing the course.
His tail gunner leaned forward. "Sir,"
He's watching me.
the kid whispered,
Can't stay here. They're coming.
"you ever feel like jumping ship?" "Sure," Earl said. "Every time they serve beans 3 days in a row." That drew a laugh, and for a moment, the room felt almost normal. Almost. AKG, radio room. On Akagi, Petty Officer Masao Sato checked his watch and the hands on his receiver dials. Message from Combined Fleet, the junior operator said, passing a slip.
Increase speed to maximum.
Admiral Yamamoto reminds us the American carriers are the primary objective. Sato smoothed the paper with 2 fingers, then looked up at the boy. "Write it correctly," he said. And clearly, Kido Butai is the Emperor's sword. We do not send the sword into battle with a dull edge. "You really think the Americans will come, Petty Officer?"
Are we safe?
the boy asked. Sato listened to the hum in his headphones, the background static of a war too big to see. "They came to us at Pearl," he said. "Courtesy demands they visit us once, at least." The boy grinned. "Then we will make them feel welcome," he said. Sato allowed himself a thin smile, then bent back over his codes. Hiryu, bunks. On Hiryu, 2 pilots sat on opposite bunks in a narrow compartment. Lieutenant Hayashi carefully folded a thin book of poetry and slid it behind his flight manual. His friend
You really think that's gonna
Nakajima
work?
watched with amusement.
It's almost cute.
"You know
believe
that thing's bad luck," Nakajima
Heads we
said.
go, tails
"Looks
we
of
wait.
love and
Let's
clouds.
see what fate has in store for
The
us
gods
today.
don't like poets in cockpits. They don't
mission is
ride in my
critical.
cockpit.
There is no
Hayashi
room for
said.
error. We
They
must
can
succeed
complain
at
to the
all
chaplain."
costs.
Nakajima flicked a small coin between his fingers, a worn 10-sen piece with a hole in the center. "What about this?"
This is our
Hayashi
fate.
nodded at it.
We must
"You
accept
spin
the
that
outcome.
thing before every
Proceed as
mission.
planned.
The gods approve of gambling instead?" "This coin's been lucky since China," Nakajima said. "I spin it. If it lands heads, I'm coming
Well,
back.
what can I say?
If it lands tails..."
Sometimes you just have to bend the
shrugged.
rules a little bit to get the job
"I spin
done
it
right.
again," he finished, grinning. "Very brave," Hayashi said
Fine.
dryly.
Whatever you say.
"Very practical,"
Just
Nakajima replied.
that is
"I'm not leaving my
how
fate
we are
to
going
one
to do
flip."
this.
He snapped the coin into the air, caught it, covered it on his palm, and peeked. "See?" he said. Heads. "We'll drink sake in Yokosuka after Midway." Hayashi looked at the circle on the map posted above their bunks. "After Midway," he said quietly, "there will be a lot of drinking. For some people. For us in Hypo, June 4th began as numbers on a clock. For Midway, It began as a howl. Enemy aircraft approaching from bearing 320. The report came in. Multiple formations, altitude 9,000. We wrote it down. Somewhere out on that low ring of coral, loudspeakers blared. This is not a drill. All hands to battle stations. A Marine gunner shoved shells into a belt. First man who ducks, he shouted at his crew. Buys beer for everyone in hell. On the airfield, a B-26 pilot leaned out of his cockpit. You sure that torpedo works? He yelled down. His ground crew chief slapped the weapon. If it doesn't, the chief yelled back. You won't be around to complain. Bombers and fighters clawed into the sky. Zeros and dive bombers swept down. From our basement, we got fragments. Runway hit, fuel dump burning, batteries still firing. Enemy planes shot down. From above, Japanese pilots saw patterns on a map turned into fire and black scars. From below, men on Midway saw the sky turn into teeth. But Midway stood. It burned, but it stood. Now it was the carrier's turn. VT-8 launched from Hornet into a sky already scarred by someone else's war. On the carrier's deck, the smell of fuel and hot paint pressed against every lung. Earl climbed into Devastator 8 T-14, metal rattling under his boots. His tail gunner clambered in behind him, helmet slightly crooked. You know, the kid said into the intercom, my mother thinks I'm training in Colorado. Good, Earl said, checking his harness. Then let's not send her any souvenirs from the Pacific. The deck officer gestured. Engines roared. The Hornet's bow rose and fell. The first planes thundered off the deck and into the gray morning. When Earl's turn came, the world narrowed to the strip of deck in front of him and the line where it met the sea. Here we go, he muttered. Nice and easy. Devastator 8T-14 rumbled, picked up speed, and then, almost reluctantly, peeled itself off the deck and into the air. Gear up, he said. Gear coming up, the gunner replied. They gathered into a formation of 15 torpedo bombers, engines droning like tired bees. See any wildcats? The gunner asked. Maybe they're shy, Earl said.
Right, I've got a visual on the
We'll
target.
make introductions for them.
Beginning my descent now.
Sir, we find the carriers, Earl said. They'll find us. They flew in near silence for a long time. Sea, sky, a thin line between them. Then the lead pilot's voice crackled in their ears. I have carriers, he said. Multiple, 11 o'clock, range. The number got lost under the sudden noise. Zeros? The gunner breathed. Small dark shapes detached from the higher sky and dove, growing fast. VT-8, stay on course, the commander said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. We're committing. Tracers stitched the air. One Devastator ahead of Earl blew apart, fragments spinning. 810's gone, the gunner shouted. Keep your eyes front, Earl snapped. We drop, then we count. The carriers grew larger, decks lined with aircraft. Range? He barked. Too far, the gunner said. Too far? Doors open, Earl ordered. The torpedo bay doors clunked down. Drag clawed at the plane. The sea rushed up. Now? The gunner said. Now, Earl said. He hit the release. The torpedo fell. The Devastator jumped slightly as if relieved. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the world turned white and red and metal. When it was over, 15 devastators had gone in. Only one would come back. Later, in a quiet office, someone would type, VT-8 failed to score a hit. Attack drew off majority of enemy fighters at low altitude. From where I sat in hypo, that sentence felt too small for what
So
they had
incredibly
brought.
tired of all this.
You can't see luck on a chart. You only see what it leaves behind. The torpedo squadrons, not just VT-8, dragged most of the Japanese fighters down to sea level. Anti-aircraft guns turned outward and low.
Hold steady.
For a few minutes, the air above the Japanese carriers was bare.
Launch the
Our
next one.
plots
Stand clear of the
didn't show
propeller.
that. They showed something else. Enterprise's and Yorktown's dive bomber squadrons searching, using more fuel than planned. One of the men at my table tapped a pencil against a log. If
Sir,
McCluskey
the
doesn't
aircraft
find them
confirm an
soon,
imminent
he
attack.
said.
We
He's
need to move
choosing
the perimeter
between turning
defense
back
immediately before
and
we risk
ditching in the
catastrophic
dark.
failure.
On Enterprise, Lieutenant Commander Wade McCluskey stared at empty ocean. No sign? His wingman asked. Nothing where they're supposed to be, McCluskey said. Which means either we're wrong, or they are. He looked down. A lone Japanese destroyer churned the sea beneath, wake cutting a hard white line across the blue. What's he running for?
Contact.
McCluskey muttered.
Engaging
What's he late
primary
to?
target. All
He
aircraft,
keyed
follow
his
my
mic.
lead.
All Enterprise groups,
Let's
he
go,
said.
boys, and go.
See that lone destroyer at 2 o'clock? She's hurrying to catch up with somebody. We're going to let her show us who. His wingman hesitated. Sir, fuel... We didn't come out here to look at water, McCluskey snapped. We follow that wake. If she's lying, we sink her for it. In his SBD, Tom Harris heard the order and banked with the rest. You trust that? His friend asked.
Tom, are we losing
I
altitude?
trust
We need
that I'd rather die finding
Target
something
acquired.
than live
Weapons
finding
free.
nothing. Tom answered. They flew along the destroyer's wake until shapes swelled on the horizon. 4 carriers, decks busy, wakes curling. Tom's mouth went dry. There they are, someone whispered. McCluskey's voice was steady. Targets confirmed. Enterprise Group, take Kaga and Akagi. Yorktown will handle Soryu. Stay tight. Make every bomb count. No one had anything left to say. They rolled into their dives. Dive bombing is just a long, controlled fall with something heavy strapped to your belly. Tom flipped his SBD over. The carrier rose in his sight like a gray plank, fingering the sea. Gravity crushed him into his seat. The altimeter spun. Steady, he told himself. Hold. Hold. Below, on Kaga, sailors were still pushing armed aircraft into position. Fuel hoses lay across the deck like snakes. Someone glanced up, squinting against the sun. Bombers! He tried to shout. The word got swallowed by the first explosion. Tom hit the release. The SBD bucked as the bomb dropped away. He hauled back hard, the G-force clawing at his vision, narrowing the world to a circle. He glanced over his shoulder. A flash on Kaga's deck. Then another. Fire leaped up, orange and black, swallowing planes, men, and the wooden planks beneath them. On Akagi, Sato felt the deck jump under him. The radio room went black for a moment as lights blew out. Damage report! Someone yelled over the intercom. Sato groped for his headphones. The air tasted of hot metal and burned rubber. Bridge? Radio? He coughed. We've lost! A second blast cut him off. Paper fluttered down like dirty snow. One of the code books landed open at his feet, pages already curling. Documents! An officer shouted from the passageway. Get the codes out. Sato looked from the book to the doorway where a crewman lay, pinned under a twisted chair. Forget the paper? Sato snapped at the nearest man. He's still breathing. Move. They hauled the wounded sailor up, hands slipping on blood and oil. Behind them, flames licked along the shelf where the codebooks sat. On Soryu, dive bombers from Yorktown did their own work. Within minutes, 3 of the 4 Japanese carriers were burning badly, some dying. From our perspective, it took one message. Enemy carriers Akagi, Kaga, Soryu heavily aflame. Large plumes of smoke. Ships believed no longer able to conduct air operations. In Hypo, the room went strangely quiet. Rochefort walked to the board and, with slow strokes, drew lines through 3 names. Akagi, Kaga, Soryu. Never thought I'd see that. One of the clerks said softly. You haven't yet, Rochefort replied. They still have Hiryu, and we still have Yorktown. Hiryu was not finished. Her call sign kept appearing. New launches, new bearings. Her first blow after the disaster fell on Yorktown. On Yorktown's bridge, the captain listened to the damage reports. Fire in the hangar deck, an officer shouted. List increasing, pumps keeping up, for now. How long do we have? The captain asked.
Weapon status now.
As long as they keep hitting the pumps instead of the magazines, the officer said grimly. Then the lookout shouted, New bogies inbound, bearing 080. Of course, the captain muttered. They always come back for the one still standing. Hiryu, ready room. On Hiryu, Hayashi, and Nakajima strapped in. Nakajima flicked his coin into the air, caught it, slapped it onto his palm. Heads, we drink sake in Yokosuka, he said. Tails, I complain to the gods. He peeked. His smile faltered for half a second. What is it? Hayashi asked. Nothing, Nakajima said too quickly. Heads, see? He flipped the coin again without looking and stuffed it into his glove. Just in case, he muttered. They ran to their planes. Remember, Pearl! The air officer shouted from the deck. Remember who you are! Hayashi climbed into his cockpit. I remember, he thought. How quiet it was afterwards. Hiryu's bombers hit Yorktown hard. Bombs punched through her deck. Fires raged. Men fought them with hoses and axes, boots slipping on steel slick with water and fuel. Keep it together! A damage control chief roared. She's not dead till she's under. For a time, they won. For a time, Yorktown steadied. Later, torpedoes from a Japanese submarine would finish her. That part of the story belongs to another day. Because even as Hiryu's planes were returning, American dive bombers were already looking for her. The last dive. Tom went up again. His arms ached. His eyes burned. His voice was ragged on the radio. Thought you'd earned a break, his friend said. I'll rest when they run out of carriers, Tom replied. They found Hiryu alone, smoke leaking from her stack, deck scarred. Last one, the strike leader said. Let's make sure she stays last. They rolled over. On Hiryu, Nakajima was unbuckling when the world shattered. The first bomb hit near the forward elevator. Heat punched through the deck. Sirens screamed. Fire! Fire on the flight deck! Magazines! Shut the magazines! Hayashi staggered to his feet, ears ringing. He saw Nakajima on the floor, scrambling for his dropped coin. Leave it! Hayashi shouted, grabbing his arm. That's my luck! Nakajima yelled back. A second blast threw them both against the bulkhead. When Hayashi could see again, the deck was tilted and burning. Men were hauling chests of documents toward the rails, flinging papers into the sea or the nearest flames. Abandon ship! Someone screamed. Hayashi dragged himself toward the rail. In the confusion, he lost sight of Nakajima. At the edge, he hesitated, looking back once. Hiryu, the last sword of the Kido Butai that day, was an inferno. He jumped. In the water, he coughed oil and salt from his lungs and looked up. Burning ships are loud. Dying ones are strangely quiet. He reached for his glove, feeling for the coin. It wasn't there. From above, Tom pulled out of his dive and saw the fourth plume of smoke rise to join the others. On our board, Rochefort drew the last white line. Hiryu. 4 strokes of chalk for 4 giants gone. The historians would say, Midway was the turning point of the Pacific War. Japan lost 4 carriers and never regained the strategic initiative. The United States, though it lost Yorktown and many aircrew, seized the offensive. All true. From Hypo, it felt different. It felt like a strip of paper that said, AF is short of water, carried across a cramped room. A circle on a map that men argued over until thousands of lives turned around it. A mechanic on Midway yelling, You dent my plane, I dent your head, as bombs fell. Earl's voice saying, We drop, then we count, and never getting to do either. Tom's sight picture shaking, then settling, then fire. Sato choosing a wounded sailor over a burning codebook. Hayashi and Nakajima, one swimming in oil-black water, one not there at all. Years later, I stood in a museum and looked at a piece of paper tape behind glass. The caption read, Intercept about Midway water shortage. Helped confirm Japanese target. People glanced at it and moved on to the photographs of burning carriers. I stayed. Because I remembered how my pencil had dug a little too hard into the paper when I wrote that intercept down. How Rochefort's voice had gone flat when he said, That's it. How the fan had ticked overhead like a clock running out. Information wins wars.
Good afternoon.
Someone said beside me.
I'm not interrupting.
I shook my
I
head.
understand you two were...
Information opens a door, I said.
We did what we thought was
Somebody
right.
still has to walk through it.
The hardest
At
part is
Midway,
living with...
code breakers and admirals and pilots and sailors on both sides all pushed on the same door from opposite directions. For us, just this once, it opened outward. When I close my eyes now, I don't see arrows on a map. I see a small island, 4 burning ships, and a sky scratched with the paths of men who never saw one another's faces. And somewhere between a strip of paper in a basement and a bomb let go over the sea, AF stopped being 2 letters in a codebook and became the place where code and courage collided and changed the war.